Like most of our listeners, you're probably looking to start an online business as a side hustle, but maybe time is getting in the way a little bit there. How about this? What about starting multiple online side hustles? Well, this amazing couple have done exactly that. And this you will find super inspirational if you're thinking you don't have enough time to get out there and start a side hustle, because these guys have just won our best website build of the year. They've started a passion site, and within 12 months, they're already getting big corporate sponsorship offers. Now, we're going to unpack that in this interview. We're going to show you how they came up with the idea, how they've been able to build it in under 12 months to that point. But not only that, here's the amazing thing about these two. They are parents of 3 kids under 10. OMG on that one, guys. And they work full-on corporate roles, full-time. And you'll hear a little bit more about that. Plus, wait, you know I was going to say this, there is more. Not only that, they've started a digital agency. Talk about give a busy person something to do if you want something done. These guys have started a digital agency. They're making money from that. So we're going to hear about that as well. Plus, they've just done their first mini acquisition. Wow, guys, like what an intro. And I want to say a big thank you for coming along. I'm really looking forward to unpacking how the heck have you guys managed to fit all of this into your busy lives.
Thanks for having us, Matt. Yeah, we asked the same question ourselves, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you're summarizing all of that, we're like, wow, it has been such a crazy journey, but rewarding. It's been fantastic.
And guys, this is why, like I've said to you off the camera, and for anyone listening, we did want to capture this moment in time for Jason and Sally, because it is an amazing achievement. They've just spent 12 months training with us on our Champions program, just so you know, which is our higher level coaching program. And what we want to show you is, seriously, how can you fit in all these amazing achievements plus working full-time jobs? So guys, let's go back 12 months. You've just spent 12 months with us. 12 months ago when you first came on, what was your level of experience like online at that point?
I had no experience. I don't do much on the computer besides my corporate role, but definitely no building website at all.
And what about you, Jason?
Yeah, that's right. Building websites is not something that I'd frequently do. In terms of technology, often what I'd be asked to do is help Sally's parents with their iPhone issues, and that is fine.
Awesome. The classics. And what do you both, talking of your roles, give us a picture, what do you both do currently for your jobs?
Yeah, quite senior roles in corporate. For me, my week is probably a 50-hour week, sometimes 60 hours, to be honest. Okay. Working within this role, it's an operations role, managing quite a few different teams, and operations, it's every day is different. Sometimes there's issues that I'd be up till midnight trying to sort it out. But on average, it's probably 50 to 60 hours, 50 hours a week.
Whoa. Okay. And Sally, what do you do?
I'm in corporate as well, and I work full-time, but mainly I manage the household. So that I feel like, yes, my corporate role is huge and it's manageable, but I feel like managing the kids are a lot harder, actually.
So that's already got 2 jobs.
Yeah, super mum. Because how old are your kids? What ages are they?
10, 8, and 4. So
10, 8, and 4. And you're working full time. Now, just so your listeners, this is an interesting question because this is important. With your roles, you're both working full-on roles both of you are in senior roles, but you do have one slight advantage, which we'll point out up front. Where do you work?
So 4 days a week, I work from home.
Perfect. Okay. And you, Jason, what's your work like? Do you get to work from home as well in your role?
Yeah, that's right. Look, I think currently it's 4 days a week from home, 1 day in the office. Times are changing. There is discussion of transitioning that to 2 to 3 days in the office.
Yep.
But that's just where we are right now as a community.
So so straight off the bat, congratulations. You guys made the most of this last 12 months while you've been able to work from home. You've fit in so much. Like you've just obviously just made a decision to go for it. So 12 months ago when you started, So you started Champions with us. What were the first steps that you took because of all these amazing, and don't worry if you're listening, we're going to unpack go in a bit more detail about what the guys have achieved, like the websites, but just what were the very first steps? Because you guys are such go-getters. Where the hell did you start straight off?
We did the web dev course at the beginning, and
Awesome.
from the web dev course, we also decided to go and do a podcast or Jason's podcast site of the Wind Up.
And before that, maybe the first sites that we started, because we decided to trial our knowledge with a family's website. So our family ran a business, and we created a business for that. We actually submitted. They didn't have an online presence.
Yes.
We created the website for them. We submitted them in some of our monthly catch-ups as part of the e-Business Institute, and got some good feedback from you in regards to that. But we were able to get them as a local website to the first page of Google. It took some time. It took probably around 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
But that was rewarding, and that's when we really got to test and play around with our skill sets.
That's awesome. So really, you guys start. So anyone listening to this, if you don't know, our web dev program, it's a small program that we have. You can find it on our website. Teaches you how to build local websites in particular, but you can build any sort of site with it. So really, that's your first training. You just did that. You learned how to build a basic site. You got it ranking for a friend, and that's when you realized, okay, this can work. So at that point, were you on Champions, or were you just doing web dev before you did Champions?
It was before Champions at this point. And from there, that gave us a set of confidence. It gave us knowledge on how to use Upworks and get someone on board. Awesome. And then all of a sudden, through family and friends, we'd get these referrals to build other websites in the counseling space. We had e-commerce businesses come to us. National e-commerce businesses come to us asking for us to build their e-commerce site. We had clothing stores come to us asking to build stuff for them. And we'd never done this before. But we'd be able to use that confidence from those earlier sites to go, we'll do it for you and we'll do a great job.
Yes.
Okay, because Jason, obviously everyone was asking you because they realized you weren't busy enough already in life. And so they thought, let's get these guys to build us more websites. So at this point, you're just having a go at everything, but mainly focused around building sites from scratch. And Sally, you mentioned then, let's get into the exciting part, because one of so if you're listening, we're going to bounce around between a few different things that the guys have done, right? But I do want to get into the podcast that you started, the why and how. So at this point, I'm imagining you guys have got some pretty good. You're feeling a lot more confident with digital skills. You at least know how to build a website. So what happened next? How did the Wind Up start?
Yeah, look, I'd been talking to a friend of ours about doing a podcast or something in the wine space for some time. Quite often we'd get together on social gatherings, and we actually have an annual Easter trip together where we share some wines that we've had and just talk about it. And a common theme that we talk about is we feel that the wine world can seem so complicated. It can seem a bit snobby. And there just feels like there's this gap around how can we make it more approachable? Because we're enjoying it. We want everyone else to enjoy it, right? And we're certainly not professionals. We're certainly not the snobby people about it, but it brings about some fantastic memories. And if we can get more people to enjoy wine, create these memories, then we think we've done something quite well. And so we've been talking about that for multiple years. And what happened was we did the course and we started building these websites, and we built this confidence around our ability to make something happen. We know there's a process to learn, trial, and just build upon that. And that translated into action for the website side. And so we spoke to our friends and said, let's do the same thing with this podcast and create the Wind Up podcast. And I'm wearing one of the hoodies right now from the show. But that's really where it came from. It's kind of coming up with that concept on where we can fill what we thought was a gap but also utilizing the confidence and knowledge we had from the skill sets from the e-business institute course, and then using that to take further action.
It's cool because you're doing exactly what we teach with content sites, which is solve a problem, answer questions for people. People are online looking for these, and you've done it with the Wind Up podcast. So if you listen to this, make sure you go and check out the Wind Up podcast. It is awesome. Like, seriously, well done. And this is, just so you know, if you're listening to this, is why one of the sites that we've awarded, well, it's kind of the main site that we've awarded the guys the best website build. Come on, Sally, you got to show it off. Woohoo, for 2024. So we want to record this moment in time. These guys are our winners for this year's best website build. Really well done, guys. And I think if you go and visit the site, you'll see why. It's a beautiful looking site, but it's not just the build, it's the story behind it, what the guys are telling us. Remember, they're 3 kids under 10, both working long hours, admittedly from home, but how did it go building this site? So Sally, you were saying before, when you first started it, did you really, like, obviously you didn't really know what you're doing at that point, I'm guessing, except you could build a good website.
No, definitely not. We had no idea what we were doing. We definitely didn't think it was amazing site because we've seen other sites, but then we just said, you know what, let's just follow the format and follow the course and just build it so that it looks like the same structure as the course. And it actually been pretty amazing, the outcome from it as well.
Well, come on, Sally. What are some of the outcomes? We got to hear there. There's some pretty cool success stories you've got here, even straight off. Like, it's pretty cool.
Well, from the champion course, we got many ideas and because so many different strategies. And one of the biggest strategies that we got out of it was build a directory site. So we actually put a directory site onto our Wind Up and have signed up with a few big wineries on our directory. So it's been amazing in that regard.
Well done. You're so humble about it. It's pretty. Any of our overseas listeners, these guys have signed up some serious names in the wine industry already. This is super cool. And it's so the podcast has been really well accepted because, Jason, I think like you identified, obviously, mate, well done, or well done for all of you. You guys have tapped into something. There is a need for this because who else has gotten on board with this? It's not just the big corporates. There's some pretty famous people as well, isn't there?
Yeah, we were pretty stoked to find out that Merrick Watts. So Merrick Watts is a radio star. He's a comedian. He's a TV star. He's all of those. Not many people know he also dabbles in the wine space. So he's got an events company that's focused on merging people, wine, and comedy. And we were able to watch one of his shows, have a chat to him, build a relationship with him. And about 12 months into the relationship, he said, yeah, I'm happy to come in the show and support you guys. So it was a major win for us. And we were so fortunate to have Merrick Watts on the interview, on the podcast. And he did 2 episodes with us.
All right. And if you're listening, this is a great way to launch any online business is through networking. It's funny, we all think, it's all virtual. We're, sitting at home in our Jimmy Jams, literally for you guys, put the kids to bed, I'm imagining, go and work on the podcast at night. But, isn't it funny? It comes down to good old fashioned networking, getting out there, chatting to people. And sometimes, when your network's well, like you guys have done, you've got a celebrity on there, that can really boost any website. And also the wineries that you've spoken to, they've been really receptive as well, haven't they? There's some big names in the wine industry that you've been chatting to. Yeah,
absolutely. We were fortunate enough to go to Hunter Valley maybe 3 months ago, and we were able to speak to Chris Tyrrell. He's the 5th generation winemaker of Tyrrell's Wine in Hunter Valley, which quite a few people know, very big first family in wine. And that's kind of spread out, and we've had more different wineries at different levels, independents, medium size, large corporates approach us to have a chat and kind of share their message and their story, which is exactly what we're all about. And the interesting thing is all of them are really down to earth, fantastic. Yeah. This whole perception about being snobs is not the case for those actually working in the wine industry. And that's what we want to spread.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think you guys do it really well. The 2 of you are so personable on the podcast, but also, of course, you have an amazing team behind you who's sitting right next to you right this minute, and that's Sally. So who builds the site? And so, Jason, you guys, you two blokes are doing the interviews, but how's it structured? Who does the other stuff that pulls all this together?
Yeah, it's a combination of Trent and I doing the podcast and the interviews. Sally's helping out in the digital space, so the directory setup was all Sally, email subscription lists, all Sally, putting
Sally.
that together. Also, Trent's wife has been quite heavily involved as well. So she's been fantastic in terms of doing the social media for the podcast
Awesome.
and also forming these networks and connections. So she's probably the bravest of us all in terms of just going out and asking people, asking Merrick,
Awesome.
come on the show if you're interested. So we found that this team that we have together has just worked quite well in kind of complementing each other's skill sets.
Yes.
Hats off to you guys. So this is a good lesson for everyone listening. This is one way you can get leverage on your time. Is you guys are obviously super busy, and I'm presuming your two business partner, Trent and his wife, are quite busy as well. Do they have kids too?
Have kids, senior corporate roles,
Yep.
2 kids
Same.
under 10 as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. So you guys have teamed up, and through that, you've been able to leverage and still build a business, a very successful business on the side. This is an awesome lesson. So maybe for listening to this, you might think about that. Team up with someone, joint venture with someone to get these side hustles off the ground. You don't always have to do it by yourself. And I love it. I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you guys as family, friends and everything, get to travel around the country in the limited time that you guys all get on a weekend or a long weekend, go to wineries and now make money off it. Not just, like it's actually building a significant business. That is super cool. I mean, the four of you must be so stoked about this, that it's gone so well.
Absolutely. And for us, it did start out as a passion project.
Yep.
To be honest, if no one listened, that's fine. But to find a following where people are interested in the stories that we're sharing and teaching them different things that we're picking up from wine, we're getting so much reward out of it. It's been ongoing growth, to be honest. And I always think about the graph that you grow, where it kind of starts off slow and then it goes off. We're kind of at that stage where it's just about to go like this. It feels like that.
And you can sense that. And again, that's why I wanted this as a moment in time for all of us, our community as well, and yourselves. So we all look back and go, wow, that was the inflection point for the guys with the wind up. Now, of course, guys, there is a little bit more here to your story, a lot more to the story, because, looking at your final accountability and seeing what you've achieved over this year, there's also mindset changes. But Sally, for you, the other strategy that you did, go super mum, just take us through some of the successes that you've had there in the digital agency strategy. How the hell have you fitted in as well? So we'll come to that in a minute. Sorry, but that slipped out. But yeah, what have you done with the digital agency strategy?
We actually built up our digital agency in the last 12 months. So we've worked late nights, but we've had a great mind shift change over the last 2-3 months, with the help of the coaches from the e-business institution. They've been amazing. Like, we had one of our biggest clients today from just a mind shift change and what we can ask for what we offer.
Tell the story, Sally, because what were you going to charge? And then you spoke with Greg, who's also on this podcast, Greg O'Rourke, he's one of our coaches, and he did the digital agency strategy, but also he's the really nice guy that you want to listen to on our podcast, where he's got the jazz guitar membership site. So you guys did a couple of coaching calls with Greg, and what was the story? You were going to build this site.
So I was going to meet up with a client and build a site, and I was going to charge him $2,000. And Greg told me, Sally, you're ridiculous. You're undervaluing yourself. And he goes, Sally, charge $5,000 and get back to me. And I was like, oh God, I was already scared to charge $2,000.
Yeah.
No, we can't even charge $2,000. But Greg's like, no, you got to charge $5,000. So.
And what happened?
I had a chat with the client and I said $5,000, and he said yes, and he didn't even bat an eyelid. And I was like, oh my God. He said $5,000, and we're like, we actually can do this.
See that Go Greg and go Sally. It's life-changing, isn't it? So 1 minute, that's the difference in mindset. That's how mindset can change your life once you've got these digital skills. Literally, on the one hand, you're going to charge $2,000. But someone said to you, hey, Sally, you're really good at building websites, which you are. You guys rock. You guys are awesome at building these sites. You've got that. No worries now. So you charge $5,000 and that goes straight to your bottom line. And you repeat that 10 times and now you're talking, okay, we've got some big options in life. And that's exactly what happened to Greg in his journey. When I coached him through it, he was the same thing. And he realized, once he's now able to, charge $5,000 for those sites like you're discovering, and it is life-changing. It gives you big, big options down the track. So Sally, really, really well. Were you impressed, Jason, at that point too?
Oh, I'm completely impressed in that. I would say Sally is probably underselling the mindset change overall, because that's just one example where things have been so different. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about where you wanted to be at the start of the Champions course and the goal you had about presentations.
At the start, I said, you know what, we're going to actually win that award.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we've
Cool.
never won anything, so we said let's work hard at it, and then we actually won that award. So yeah, definitely a big mind shift change. Like a lot has changed in our life and just habits as well. That we put into, rather than folding the clothes or doing the house chores, I've put that aside and actually just sit down at the end of the night and start working.
Yeah,
every single night.
Normally we'd be on Netflix or something like that. Sal would be watching a Korean drama.
Yeah.
Late into the night. But now it's like put the kids down. Sal would chase me up about let's get to work. We need websites to build. We need to help our clients. There's that. There's also Sal didn't want to say this. She had a goal of presenting in front of a large forum, in front of this forum 1 year ago. And she attended BNI on a weekly basis. In BNI, you need to present for I think it's about a minute.
Yes.
And every time she's absolutely nervous, but she's been doing that consistently and been able to change it. And so now she's at the point where she's achieved her goal of presenting by being on this podcast. Like this is actually a big moment as well in terms of mind shift change and achievement.
Oh, I love it, Jason and Sally. Sally, congratulations. That's the power of goal setting. So I didn't realize that you set that goal at the beginning of the year. There you go. So how cool is it? We're recording this. Not only that, listeners, everyone listening, Sally said to me, we just ran our 2-day summit and there's literally over 1,000 people on that. And I put it to Sally and Jason, are you guys up for coming up on the virtual stage? It's a little bit daunting. There's a lot of people. And Sally said she was nervous and she wasn't sure whether or not she wanted to come on. Jason was fine because you're a professional podcaster, Jason. I'd be shocked if you said no. And Sally, go Sally, you did it. And because you set a goal. So not only have you presented on this podcast, but at you think of a live summit with, potentially 1,000 people in front of you. That's seriously impressive to set that goal. So well done. Isn't it funny how we often say the skills that we teach you, these digital skills, learning how to make money online is like a metaphor for life or success. It can help you work out success in life. It can help you overcome things like shyness. And you don't expect that because everyone thinks everything's virtual. You're working on a laptop late at night, which you guys do, but there's so much more to it. And I do love, I'm going to reiterate that lesson, Sally. I think you've just helped inspire a lot of mums as well. Like you said to me the other day, you don't just view yourself now as a mum of 3 kids, and working a corporate role. The two of you now see yourselves as entrepreneurs. Like you were saying, Jason, at night, you get to work. And okay, that's tough, but look at the results you're kicking. And that's an important mindset. Like all the mums out there, maybe you don't have to fold all the clothes every night. That's what you were saying. Yeah.
It's a big mind shift change. It's hard as a mum. Your house is dirty. You got to clean up, but sometimes you just have to put that aside and do the more important stuff.
And Sally and any new mums listening to this, it's exactly what we had to go through. And Liz found it tough too. There's that, for females, it's different for men, But for female entrepreneurs, which you are now, and Liz found this, it was tough. There was pressure on her to be, the mum that folds and has everything perfect and all that sort of stuff. When you're an entrepreneur, that doesn't always happen. You've got to change your mindset of who you are. And you guys are, as a partners, are doing this as entrepreneurs. And here's a little tip that we learned. Once you get the money coming in, you realize I can pay someone to fold the clothes for less than what I'm earning off my websites or off my business. And you can pay for nannies. You can pay, and we did all that sort of stuff as well, or you can pay for help and things like that. Then you start to look at getting leverage, just like we do with our websites. Yeah. And talking about that, you to give us an idea, Jason, you mentioned something about hiring staff off Upwork. So for you two, you guys work full on hours. You've obviously had to get leverage. So one way you've done it is through a joint venture with some really good friends of yours. That's worked phenomenally well. In the digital agency, how have you two done that now? So did you start out doing everything yourself, which is normal, but where are you at now? Like, how's that journey gone over this 12 months?
Oh, it's been really interesting because a lot of the website builds we'd actually do ourselves.
Yep, that's fine. That's good.
We'd use Upworks to have content writers so that they could do articles for us and help us flesh out the details of the website. And it was probably that journey where the website builds we'll do ourselves for a good 10 months, I would say.
Okay.
And I would say I'm probably the more stubborn of the two of us because I'd be like, why would we pay someone else? I can do it. Let's work together.
Okay.
Let's build this out. And then Sally's been really persistent in saying, Jason, we don't need to do everything ourselves. The only way we can scale is if we get someone to do the tech and the build for us. And we had this debate about a new client, and I finally said, look, all right, just give it a try and see how we go with this website build. The person that we got, and it was the first person we'd got to do a website build for us through Upworks, did a fantastic job. And he did a better job than any of us, both Sally and I, could have ever done.
Yes.
But it made me realize that power of leverage because we're paying him a set amount and it was a good price to do it. We're getting a fantastic outcome. But the time that we can then spend to do other things really freed it up for us. And that there was a personal feeling. I think you were talking to Greg about what it also does mentally if you outsource the work to someone else.
Yes.
You don't feel...
It's like cooking. You don't always have to taste it, and then you don't, because when you're cooking and you're always tasting it, you might not end up liking the food. So it's like when you get a person from Upwork and the tech does it and he does all the touch up, at least you can correct him and say, this is wrong and that's, can you shift that? So it's so much, you get so much more leverage from that way, and you can also make it look better because you're telling him what to do rather than you're doing it all yourself. And
you'd be less self-critical is I guess one of the key things from that. So that kind of changed my whole perspective on the local agency and the important part of getting the right people to outsource that work to.
Guys, that's a super cool lesson. And I'm going to summarize something here really important for our listeners. Guys, anyone listening to this, we're not all perfect. You're thinking Sally and Jason are, workaholics, working their butts away, and you're thinking probably they were leveraging early in the piece. No, they weren't. How long? You only just hired your first hire, like your main hire off Upwork, just in the last month or so?
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, we know that in our community, there's a lot of fear around those first hires, and it does take people a long time. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, Sally and Jason have inspired you. It's perfectly okay to build all the websites yourself at first. We actually recommend it, unlike other courses and stuff, because you learn it heaps better. Now, so the good news here is, you got to work your butt out a bit more, a few more sleepless nights, late nights, working on the computers, but you don't have to be perfect and start hiring straight away. When it comes into it, it took the guys a good 10 months before they did their first full-on hire. So if you're not yet at your first hire, don't be beating yourself up about it. Just go, okay, Sally and Jason waited maybe took them nearly a year before their first hire. So congratulations. And it is life-changing now when you realize how leveraged it is. That's something, Jason, that you really reiterated to me, and you just said that again. If you're listening to this, listen to Jason here. When you do hire someone and you get the right person, you suddenly realize, oh, wow, now that's leverage on your time.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so how many staff do you have at the moment? What is your hiring now that you're into it? Like what have you found you needed for the sorts of sites that you build?
You probably got three.
Oh yeah.
Three.
Yeah, we have 3 techs at the moment because we have a few website built at the moment. We most probably will need to hire one more because, like you said right at the beginning, we're going to have a mini acquisition soon. So that would be a
Yeah.
huge
Huge.
job as well.
So all these techs, they're not full time or anything, are they? You just hire them ad hoc off Upwork,
Yeah.
as you need them.
That's
Awesome.
right. And we wanted to get, because we're very early in this, we wanted to get some diversity because we wanted to understand what the different skill sets and offerings were. And we want to have at least a minimum of 2 in case another one gets busy. We can back it up.
Ooh.
And content writers, I think you've got a couple.
I got one content writer at the moment as well.
And Sally, is it mainly you that looks after them with instructions, or both of you do it in the evening?
Mainly me at the moment because Jason's very busy with his corporate role and also with the wind up. That takes up a lot of time as well.
Okay, so that's a lot of work in the wind up. You know, we're going to have to do another podcast interview just around the wind up at some point.
We're up for it. Sounds good.
Yeah, because we're going to come back to it because there is one final thing that I do want to cover with you guys, which is really exciting. And again, it's all about leverage. And Sally, you just mentioned it. Your little mini acquisition. Tell us what's happened just there. What's this opportunity that's just, come before you?
Yeah, so we met someone who were building a website, and then someone told us that they know a mate who wanted to sell a few hosting websites. He's just over it, and he was just willing to sell it for very cheap as well. And over the weekend, we gave him an offer, and he accepted. So we're very excited about that.
So Sally, did you? What was the offer? What was the grand sum of the offer? You can say it here. Come on.
It was $500.
For how many websites?
12 websites.
For 12 websites.
Wow. And so talk about, $500, you can't really lose for that, can you? And so you think back 12 months ago, that's literally, that diamond in the rough idea that we teach. You would not have recognized that 12 months ago, or you couldn't have capitalized on that now. Now with your skills, because you've worked your butts out this year and you've got so many runs on the board, $500 is pretty much, that's ridiculous. If you have a 4-wheel drive, that's a couple of tanks of fuel. It's such a small amount. And what does it give you? Those clients, you mentioned something to me about those clients that I hadn't thought of, Sally. It was very smart. Where are they located compared to you?
Well, most of them are from Queensland or Perth, and so we would have never been able to connect with these clients ever. And so that have leveraged a new opening for us in our website development.
So imagine that's really cool if you're listening to this. And I hadn't even thought of that too at the time. Now it's so obvious, but you're right. You guys are so busy there, and you're located in Sydney. You build awesome websites for Sydney-based businesses. But now, if you do a great job, which you will do for these guys, they're in Perth and Brisbane, they will refer people to you. So you're starting to spread out Australia-wide. You're going to become like Pete and Renee and Mission Avni and all the other guys.
They're inspiration. I think we hear their stories and we're like, wow, let's give that a go.
So seriously, that's what you guys will be like, because those guys, as you know, both know, and if you haven't heard their stories, go and look for them on our podcast, Pete and Renee. They're now multi-award winning digital agencies all around Australia. You guys are already within 12 months, already starting to get your fingers around Australia. If you keep at this, who knows where it will go. And that is so cool. And it's cool that these are the guys that inspired you and you're literally following in their footsteps. Really well done.
Yeah, if we didn't hear these stories, I don't know if I would have probably self-sabotaged and said, let's not have this opportunity that we've had to get these 14 applications. It's a new world. It's all too hard. Let's stick to our safe space. But hearing their stories, that's what gives a bit more confidence for us to let's try these new opportunities. And at that price, like you were saying, what have we really got to lose?
Yeah. So fantastic, guys. You guys have just blitzed it. And Jason, I'm going to point out, mate, you guys, the two of you, are replicating literally those stories as well. You've just gone and helped inspire so many people just off this podcast, as you both know, within the Champions group as well. And also at our summit, everyone was super excited about your success with the Wind Up, but also, you know, Go Super Mum Sally with the digital agency in the evenings, those late nights where the kids' clothes might not be all perfectly ironed and everything. But hey, you two have had a crack at all our strategies and done, you know, really effective with the directory site, adding that to your podcast. Guys, I do want to say a special big thank you for coming on the podcast today and sharing this moment in time, the inflection point for Sally and Jason. Well done, guys. You guys rock. It's seriously really well done.
Oh, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. And honestly, thanks to you, thanks to Liz, thanks to the community. All of the stories, all of the coaches, all of the learnings has helped us get to this point.
Yeah.
GSD is like our favorite saying.
GSD, if you're new to this community, stands for, it's Matt and Liz's favorite saying, get stuff done. We won't swear here. And I think all of you listening to this will agree with me. But these two, Sally and Jason, are the ultimate in GSDing. They epitomize GSDing and the results you can get out of that. So, guys, seriously well done. And, you know, perpetuating these inspiring stories and helping our community. So thank you so much. And we can't wait to have you back on sometime in the next 12 months for an update, maybe a specific interview around the Wind Up. Awesome, guys.
Will do. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.